Hello and welcome to Monkey's Paperpalooza Craft Corner. Today we are going to do our final installment of our three-part series on the My Monthly Hero September 2018 kit. We're going to make 3 cards today plus the bonus card, so let's get started. So for the first card, I'm going to do something fun. I have this beautiful burlap stencil from Holtz collection, and I'm going to take some of my distress oxides and I'm going to blend in a fun kind of autumny color, starting with the peeled paint. And I'm doing this on brown craft cardstock. And now I'm going to do it. Oops, if I can get my blending sponge on there correctly. I'm going to do some fossilized amber, followed by some spiced marmalade. And I do realize that this panel is a little wider than the stencil. A lot of his stencils are very narrow, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it over after I'm done. And the last color is going to be the fired brick. And I'm going to go up a little up higher with the fired brick. I wanted to sort of fade in. Now I'm going to slide my stencil over just a tad, and I'm going to fill in the spots with some more fired brick. I'm not concerned that if it looks uneven, because the stencil actually has a very fun, uneven pattern on it anyway, just like burlap would. Now, using my We Are Memory Keepers Precision Press Advance, I'm going to now stamp on some white cardstock. The vase, well, actually, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to do this on craft cardstock. Last video we talked about sometimes doing things on white. You get that white overlay, and sometimes you don't want that white overlay. Actually, I think it was the first video. And sometimes just stamping it on a colored cardstock neutralizes the whiteness that you have from your die cuts because it blends it better. So I am going to do that with my embossing fluid. Press it down really good. After I've done that, do it one more time. I think that's good. Now I'm going to take my embossing powder, I believe it is the Snow from Recollections, and make sure I get a good coating. And I'm going to heat set it. And now I'm going to do the remainder, which is the vase and a leaf. And the nice thing is I don't have to take my last stamp off. I can leave it there because you know what? There's plenty of space on this press alignment block. So we're going to do that with some more embossing fluid. I do like that I can flip over this glassing and show you what I'm doing for colors of ink versus saying, oh, I think I'm using this color. It's kind of nice to be able to flip it. There's a lot of things I'm actually really liking about the We Are Memory Keepers Precision Press Advance. I like the versatility of it. I like that you can move your stamps around. Coming up, we're going to do a turnabout stamp from Concord and 9th with it. So stay tuned for that. I want to show how it's going to be a little different compared to doing it on a Misty or a Stamp Perfect or any of the other presses, because you can remove that plate and move it around, you're not going to have to use the block they give you to know where you rotated. So I think that's going to be a nice feature right there. So I'm a little excited to try that on with that, because that might be a winner chicken dinner with that. So I'm kind of excited to try it. So I'm taking my images that I stamped and then embossed in the snow embossing powder, and I'm just coloring with my Arteza markers. I chose once again to use my Arteza markers versus the watercolors due to the fact that the colors I have are so vibrant and they are more of a selection of colors than the watercolors that came with the kit. Though I did use the watercolors in the last 2 videos, I did not end up using it in this video, just for a little something different. So I am going to put some Scotch adhesive squares and also adhere these little branches in like a bouquet kind of manner, trying to find the best alignment for all the little branches I did end up taking. I'm thinking that one might be a little wider than I want it. So we might have to move some around here. Do a little adjustment here and there, and I think that is still a little too wide. That, maybe not. Let's try putting it over there. There we go. I think that'll be better. Because I want it in the right bottommost corner of the card so that it kind of branched out into the fading of that stencil design. So now I'm going to put a bunch of little teeny itty bitty Scotch square pieces throughout this just to balance this bouquet out. Alright, so we almost have these laid out. So I'm going to take some craft foam, which we're going to put on the back of our card panel that we did that beautiful stenciling design on. Do a little crisscross. And I'll stick that there. And then I'm going to also do a brown card form that is a little bit darker shade than the panel. And I did it that way so that it would be a little bit different. Because I have a couple shades of the craft. I have a darker craft and a lighter one. And I thought I'd like the difference in the colors, so they don't blend into each other as much. So now we're going to remove our little adhesive square backings. This is the most time-consuming part of putting foam adhesive on things sometimes, is pulling off those little foam adhesive square backs. And I did decide to put one more because I felt like it looked like it was a little unbalanced. And now we're going to apply this to the card. A lot of these I've been doing as note cards only because autumn cards are kind of hard to give out. Usually people don't give cards in autumn. So I thought a blank note card, they can use it for whatever season or just to say hello in the autumn if they're writing a note to a friend, instead of having something weird inside that doesn't go with it. So I'm going to take the Happy Autumn that did come with the kit and line it up on my We Are Memory Keepers precision press, and we are going to get that all set up. So put some more of that embossing fluid, get set with some anti-static, and we're going to do it in the same white that I did the vase and branches in. That way it blends in well. Heat set it. Then I'm going to trim this down to a nice thin strip, and I am going to freehand slash it. And I wanted it to hang out over a little bit because I wanted some dimension to it. So now I'm going to add my foam adhesive squares to this. And I'm trying to keep this card really simple because you know what? Sometimes the more simple the card, the better. Sometimes the more elaborate cards, for some reason, some people don't like them as much, but a simple card is just something easy to give and easy to use. And there we go. So I have some little of the ruby Aurora Borealis pearls, and I also have some red Aurora Borealis rhinestones, but I decided instead I'm going to take out these pretty red iridescent 4mm sequins instead, and put some sequins, because I've been using those pearls a lot and the rhinestones, and I wanted to bring in some different types of embellishments. So I'm going to stick a bunch of these little iridescent sequins on here and just embellish the card slightly, just to add some pop to it. These are also available on the store. We will be having in a few more weeks a order of Christmas sequins coming in. There is tons of them, and I'm going to be making some fun little variety packs of those, so stay tuned for that, because as we all know, Christmas is actually very close by, and I know a lot of you are already starting to make your Christmas cards. So let's get the supplies ready for you guys so you can start making those cards. And also, the Hero Arts October kit has been released. It's a beautiful little Christmas theme one also. So it'll be a perfect timing to show you those as I'm making these cards. So hopefully, like I said, stay tuned. We will show those pretty soon. And there you go. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Ooh, shiny, shiny. Alright, so for our next card, I am just going to blend some of the fossilized amber, the spiced marmalade, and some fired brick onto this panel, just to give it a nice kind of autumny feel again. And with this panel, we're going to have a little fun. I'm going to do a reversed resist. So what we're going to do is, now that we got this panel, all with these pretty colors on it, I am going to center as much as I can on this precision press, because last time I did this, and that was series 2, I was a little off from center and I had to reposition my paper to do it. This time I'm going to make sure I get it as centered as I can, so I'm lining it up a couple times just to make sure we're there. So I figured we have to move it up a smidge, and that should be almost centered, or pretty close to center. I am going to line up a bunch of branches. Now, I was going to do it in quadrants, and I noticed that really doesn't matter. So we're just going to line them out with a bunch of branches and a bunch of the little and tiny embellishments that came with the kit, and make them really, really special. And we're going to do something, like I said, we're going to do reverse resist, which means instead of the white being the resistance, it's going to be the color that's going to be the resistance. And the solid color is going to be on top. So you'll see what I mean in a minute. It's a fun way to make a really warm card. Let's just say that. I've seen it done with black, and I've seen it done with a lot of darker colors like navy blues. It's great for snow. It's great for autumn colors like this, rust, patina, whatever kind of fun technique you want to do with your card. So what we're going to do is we're going to ink these images with a bunch of embossing fluid, stamp it down, and I'm going to do it a second time just to make sure I got every little nook and cranny of that paper. And we'll just line it up, push it down again. It's kind of funny. My original thought process was I was going to like the Tim Holtz. I'm actually starting to like this one better. For some reason, this precision press has really surprised me. I was thinking, oh, Tim Holtz is a better product. I think I'll love this better. And I've actually loved this precision press better. So what I did is I put clear embossing fluid over the images. So now I'm going to go in with some, I believe it is walnut stain. I don't have the black soot, or I would have done black soot, but I thought maybe this darker brown would actually blend in better with the kind of neutral earthy colors that we have coming in the background, and it does. And you can see the color underneath that clear embossing. So the color is not around it, it's underneath it, which is kind of fun. This is a fun technique for doing an ombre effect too. If you want to do like a lighter color underneath and then do lighter shades from dark to light of a different color, you could. It's a really fun way to have some fun with your embossing powders and use them in a different way. So I'm just going to make sure this walnut stain is super dark so that the colors really pop. I've seen people do this with like really bright colors underneath and then do black and then the stuff pops through. Or like I said, patina, do like a copper color on the top and do the green underneath. It's really fun. Look at that, isn't that cool? You can see all the images. Now I'm going to take a brown card form that goes very nicely with the color of the walnut stain. I lost a little bit of my video here, but what I did is I added a ribbon with some foam on the back of the panel. And now I'm going to slip my little Happy Autumn that I stamped in the gold embossing powder from, I believe it was, Recollections from Michaels. And I put that on there. And I'm not going to go crazy with anything else because I want the colors in the background and that glitter of that Happy Autumn to be the showstoppers. So for our third card, we once again are visiting our branches. And we are going to press this on a panel of, I believe it is craft cardstock. And once again, I'm going to go over it a couple times. And I didn't anti-static it the first time and I felt a little bad about that. So I'm going to do it one more time. This time I'm coming back with that gold glitter embossing powder from Recollections, and I am just going to do those little branches in the gold. Now, I'm going to color these branches now that I've cut them. And I'm coloring them, of course, with my Arteza markers because I want the colors to be very vibrant. And I felt the watercolors may not react well with the gold. But it is very pretty with these colors on this gold. It makes it sparkle. Going over the flowers and also in the branches with the leaves. And we are going to do each color of those branches. Do some brown. And now I'm going to do some green. Keeping my coloring really simple. Just simple colors that really make it pop. I didn't realize that these colors are almost Christmassy because I got the gold, red, and green. But I don't know why I thought that, but it kind of reminiscent of that. Now for these branches, I wanted to make a little sprig bouquet. We've been making a lot of things inside the vases, but I wanted to make it like a little bouquet and tie it with a bow. So I have this ribbon that of course came with the kit, and I'm going to tie it in a bow and knot it. And I was going to tie it around it, but I think it's going to be too thick. So I'm just going to adhere it to the card and then put the bow on top. So I'm coming over on this panel with some fired brick just to give it that warm red feeling. Sorry for the noise in the background if you can hear it. Apparently my toddler is having fun with the dog. Alright, that's why we don't do live. So I adhered all the branches onto my panel with some craft foam, and now I'm going to add the little bow. Now a trick to adding a bow for me, and always has been for me, is glue dots. Liquid adhesives for some reason just doesn't hold right, but if you put a glue dot in the center and then a glue dot on the tails, as well as the bows in the center, it will actually hold your bow pretty well. And they don't move or get kind of warped or look silly after a while, because they'll move around in the mail, and then you can always push them up a little bit like I just did, and it holds it pretty well. So glue dots, they work great. I usually do 5. And now I'm going to do, I was going to do a sentiment, but I decided not to. So instead I'm going to add some embellishments because I don't want this card to have a little bit of fun here. Now, like I said, I didn't use these last time, so I'm going to use them now. I have red pearls, the ruby color, as well as some of the red Aurora Borealis rhinestones, and I'm going to use those alternating around this bouquet. And one more there. Once again, a very simple little note card. Isn't it pretty? And the bow is really shiny, and they got sparkle and the glitter all in there. Now for our last card, which is our bonus card, I'm going to use these little leaf notes. Now I was going to put the 2 leaf notes kind of stuck between 2 panels of vellum, because I was a little disappointed that they weren't adhesive all the way through. They have a line of adhesive on the bottom, which I mean is great if you're using for bookmarks or something, but for me as a shaker card, which is what I was going to make with this, I was afraid the shaker elements would get stuck inside the leaf area, and then we'd have a big mess. So I decided to try to kind of sandwich it in, and I did not feel, I felt it was too soft in between the 2 of them. So I'm going to change my mind. I like it this way, but I don't like the adhesive showing through the vellum, because vellum is very, very picky. So I'm going to try a couple things. I was going to see if brown looked too much, but it's too dark. So we're going to stick to white, because I feel the white will make the red really pop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to relayer this down on some white paper, not on the vellum, so that the adhesive doesn't show on the back of the leaves, because vellum has a very sheer texture to them and a very sheer transparency, and they show adhesive very bad. So we are trying to avoid that by doing this. So now I got the leaves kind of piled together. I'm going to see if I can spread them up away a little bit. There we go. I'm also going to cut a layer of acetate for my window. So the vellum is going to be on top of these leaves, and then I'm going to do the shaker element with the kind of clear acetate window. I also cut a little bit of golden craft with an oval opening, so that way the window for that is an oval shape. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to play my adhesive. So I'm going to lay it here in the corners where I know the frame is going to be covering it. And that's perfect. Nobody will see that. So I'm going to cut down these leaves, and I'm going to now do my frame, get it ready for the acetate to be on top of it. There we go. Perfect. So now we're going to do our craft foam. And I'm going to be using, I believe, the Tombow foam adhesive. I'm going to cut these in strips. Little smaller strips, because this is a very narrow part in that frame. And I have a little area where it wasn't long enough, so I'm going to stick a little wedge in there. That way it doesn't, nothing slips out. And I'm going to do one more there. This one I'm going to cut in a little more segments because I feel like I goofed up with the first one, so we don't want to do it a second time. And there we go. That's a good enough window that I feel like it's comfortable, but I am going to do a couple in the corner so it's not as sharp of a corner. All right, perfect. So we're going to put in some orange standard sequins and some of my little Aurora Borealis 4mm, as well as some more standard red foil. And those you can get at any of the craft stores. They sell these basic foil ones like crazy. All right. I have them, of course, jumping as I'm pulling off my adhesive tape, and I love when they do that, because then it sticks to my adhesive. Even though usually I powder tool it too, and I totally forgot to powder tool this one, but it's okay. We'll just pull the little sequins off and get them ready. We're almost ready to just adhere the back. There we go. So we're going to adhere our back as center as we can. And I'm already having fun with this. Look at that. I love the color in it, the glitter, the sparkle. I love shaker cards. They're so much fun. I was so intimidated when I first saw my first one made. But now I'm like, it's so easy now. It's so intimidating when you first learn how to make these things, and then you make them and you're like, ow, this is a piece of cake. So I'm going to adhere this to a red polka dot card form for some fun design to it. And look at that. Isn't that fun? Got the beautiful leaves. Ah, but I forgot to put my center in. Another good thing about this is that you can do this. There's nothing holding you back. So you have openness on corner. You just put your little sentiment in, ink it, and you don't have to worry about, oh no, I can't get my card and everything in there. It's open on the end, so you can do that. So it makes it a lot easier. Tim Holtz will have that opportunity too. So great thing about having the open bottom versus the Misty and Stamp Perfect. So look at that card. Isn't that fun? So I found a way to use those leaves. I'm so excited. Because they were half, this is the best way to do it so you don't have that overlap. And it gives you a smooth surface too for it to go over. And there's that Happy Autumn card. So if you like this video, please check out the last video we uploaded, as well as a video especially curated just for you. And like always, we ask you to click on the channel button, like, subscribe, and ring for notifications, as well as sign up for our newsletters where you get crafty sales and shop updates.